Alright, I hope everybody's doing alright, getting acclimated to the first few days of school, hopefully getting your schedule down, finding your way around school. What I want to look at tonight is the quadratic formula and solving equations using factoring. When you dealt with quadratics, in other words, when you saw something like ax squared plus bx plus c, immediately you see that squared and you're thinking, okay, that's a quadratic, that's something that graphs like this, or this, whatever. Okay, there were three main ways to solve these. The first one is quadratic formula. The second one is factoring. That's the one you have to use ZPP at the end. And the third one, you could always graph these on your calculator. Okay. We are not going to look at graphing. We're not going to really do that at all in geometry. The main one that we really need to be able to be good with is factoring. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at, though, does pertain to the quadratic formula. You will need to use it in this one. Okay, so what happens is we have a little formula that you may or may not remember. Let's see if you guys remember it. We have x equals, there's songs to this and all that, opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. There's a lot of stuff going on. You have to be very good with substituting or evaluating, like we did in the first day's notes, with these numbers. So, I already have it in the right order. It's already A, it's already B, this is already C. So A is 2, B is -5, C is 1. So what we're going to do is plug all those numbers in. Okay, we'll see what we get. So, we have x equals, and say, give yourself some room, x equals the opposite of b. So the opposite of b, think about it, say it in your head, the opposite of b, it's always minus b, or opposite of b. B is -5. You may know that's going to turn into a positive. We'll hold on to that for a second. Plus or minus the square root. Here comes b again, it's b squared minus 4 times a times c. Just look back to your key that you made over, or that you should have made over here. Okay, all over, and don't forget this part, a lot of people like to forget that, 2 times 2, 2a. So we're now left with x equals, now go through slowly, opposite of -5 becomes +5 plus or minus the square root of 25, because -5 squared in parentheses becomes 25. -4 times 2 is -8. -8 times 1 is still -8. All over 4. Okay. So far so good. X equals 5 plus or minus the square root 25 minus 8 gives us 17. That doesn't need to be that long. All over 4. And that's your answer. We don't need to mess with decimals and doing square root of 17 and getting some nasty decimal and subtracting and adding. That's your final answer. That's fine. It tells us how you have the positive version and negative version of it. Okay, so you're done with that. Maybe we'll use it a couple times throughout the year, but at least you should be familiar with it. You definitely will need to use it again when you get to Algebra 2. Okay, the other way we dealt with quadratics was by factoring. The opposite of factoring was foiling. This is what we started with, or you should have started with in Algebra 1. It's foiling. You kind of condense things, you multiply. Factoring is kind of like dividing everything out. You're spreading it out, you're making it into a bunch of factors. We're not going to go through all of these. I'm just going to go through probably one of these. If you have questions tomorrow in class, we can do them again. So if we look at number 2, that is FOIL. FOIL stands for something. FOIL was your first, inner, outer, and your last. Okay? First terms, inner terms, outer terms, last. Now, I told those of you who are in Algebra 1 with me, that doesn't matter what order you do it in, but we use FOIL because it's a good acronym. It doesn't really make sense if you say LOIF or Leo for, you can, I guess, if you want, but this usually gets it in a nice order for you. You don't have to rearrange things at the end. So I'll just do number 2. All of them, these are equally the same. So let's look at the first one. we have 2x minus 7 times 3x minus 5. Two binomials you have to FOIL. So first terms, 2x times 3x gives me 6x squared. Don't forget about that part. Now we have our inner terms. Negative 7 times 3x gives me negative 21x. 2x times negative 5 gives me negative 10x. Then I have negative 7 times negative 5 gives me positive 35. 4 multiplications. Combine like terms, 6x squared. Negative 21x minus 10x more gives me negative 31x plus 35. That's your final answer. You can't combine anymore. That's as far as you can go. So you condensed everything. Factoring will be breaking it apart and going backwards to where you started. If you look at number 4, you should try that one, or you should try number 3 and see if you get these right. We'll go over them in class. And number 4, you just have to be careful with this and make sure you rewrite it as 6x plus 9 times 6x plus 9 before you go ahead and do your FOIL. Okay? Opposite of FOILing is factoring. You should have all ended up as experts with factoring by the end of last year. So if we look at number 5, we're going to start off with just simply what do we need to do in our factoring. Okay, you always look for a GCF. That's your first step when you factor. Is there a GCF? Okay. Nope. There's nothing here that everything shares. You can't take a 2 out or anything like that because x squared doesn't have a 2. Okay, then you're going to look and see, is it a box problem? Okay. It's a trinomial. It is a box problem. Okay, most of you would have learned it like this. Okay. You need two numbers that multiply to give you 16 and add up to give you negative 10. It's like a puzzle. You have to think about those numbers. There's no simple way to get there. You got to think about what works. If you're stuck, start writing numbers down. Okay, let's see. I know 4 times 4 gives me 16, but they don't add up to negative 10. Let's see. I know 8 times 2 gives me 16. 8 and 2 add up to positive 10. How could I make that negative 10? Oh, I could do negative 8 times negative 2 equals 16, and negative 8 plus negative 2 does add up to negative 10. That needs to be your thought process as you go through these. So what you'll do is then go ahead and say that I'm going to use negative 8, negative 2, and you'll rewrite it as x minus 8 times x minus 2. That's it. You're done. If you multiplied those or FOILed those back together, you would get right back to there. Okay? That's the idea. If we look at, let's skip over to number 7. Okay. Is there a GCF? Nope. Is it a box problem? It sure is. So we're going to look at our box. Two numbers that add up to negative 3, and they multiply to give us negative 18. What numbers are those? Hopefully you're good at this. Negative 6, positive 3. So you'd go ahead and rewrite it as x minus 6 times x plus 3. That's all you have to do. You're done. Okay. Let's look at another one. If we look at number 8, okay. In number 8, this one should immediately pop out to you as something that looks a little bit different. There's not a GCF. This is not a box problem because it's not a trinomial. It is, however, a special product. Okay, there were a couple different special products. So what you need to do is think about it. If you wanted to, you could rewrite this as x squared plus 0x minus 49 and do a box problem if you really wanted to and make it 0 and negative 49. Okay, what two numbers cancel out to give us 0? Well, 7 and negative 7. Or you could just understand or remember back to this one's x minus 7, this one's x plus 7, you're done. Okay, if you multiply those back out, your negative 7x here and your positive 7x there would cancel out. That's why there's no middle term. Okay. In number 9, you need to pull out a GCF first before you move on. Okay, you can try that one. In number 10, again, we'll look at this one as just something different. GCF, yes, there is one in this case. So it's pull out a 3 times, so 3, and if we had times x squared in there, that would give us back to 3x squared, minus 36. Okay, you're thinking of what number? 108 divided by 3 gives me negative 36. If I multiply this back out, I'd get back to here. Remember, you're kind of unwrapping this problem. Okay, now you're at, is this a box problem? It's not a trinomial, but it is a special product problem. So what it ends up being is 3, don't forget the 3 out in front, x plus 6, x minus 6. You should be happy when you see those special products. Those are the easiest ones. You don't have to do a whole lot of work. Last thing we'll look at is actually solving these, because yes, we want to factor, but we also want to solve these. We want to see what x can be equal to. So we'll start off pretty easy. This is your ZPP. Hopefully everybody remembers that. What you do, what ZPP means is if one product, so for example, if this product is equal to 0, the whole thing's equal to 0. Or if this product is equal to 0, anything times 0 is 0. That's what ZPP is telling us. So all we have to do is go ahead and say, okay, 3x minus 9 equals 0, x minus 6 equals 0. Now it's your simple algebra. Add 9 to both sides, and divide by 3. So x can be equal to 3, or add 6 to both sides, x equals 6. So we have two answers. Okay. Remember, it's a parabola, so it's crossing in two different spots, x equals 3, x equals 6 on the graph. There's two possible answers. Okay. Excuse me. Let's look at another one, and we'll look at plenty more tomorrow in class. Number 12 is a little bit harder, so we'll take a look at it. We have 5x cubed plus 30x squared minus 135x equals 0. Again, first step, look for a GCF. If you don't look for a GCF and you try and start doing a box problem, you're going to have no idea what's going on, because I wouldn't have any idea what's going on. So take out the biggest number you can. I can take out a 5. Take out the biggest variable you can. I can take out an x. 5x times what gives me 5x cubed? That would be x squared. Remember, you can check your work backwards. Plus 5x times what gives me 30x squared? It would be 6x. 5x times what gives me negative 135? Let's see, that would be negative 27. And there's no x, because 5x times negative 27 would give me negative 135x. And then we can go ahead and set it equal to 0. Now it's a box problem. Okay? So we're going to do a little box with this middle portion here. And we're going to get two numbers that, oops, I don't want that there. Two numbers that add up to 6, multiply to give me negative 27. Again, you need to be able to be good at this. It's a little puzzle. Those numbers would be 9 and negative 3. So go ahead and rewrite. Don't forget to bring down this 5x, though. A lot of people like to forget that. 5x times, inside we have x plus 9 times x minus 3 equals 0. You're breaking that apart. Okay, now we have 1, 2, 3 products, which tells you you have 3 answers. This is one of those that you actually have something like this, or crosses through 1, 2, 3 times. Okay, so we're going to have 5x, set that equals 0, x plus 9 equals 0, x minus 3 equals 0. So x equals 0, 5x equals 0, that's x equals 0. Subtract 9, x equals negative 9, add 3, x equals 3. So that's all we'll do for today. We're going to go back tomorrow and fill in a couple of these, and I'm going to have you guys work on some of your homework in class so that you can ask questions. Factoring is so important in geometry. We're going to use it almost every day. You need to be able to factor. If you're not sure, you still understand after class, please come see me early on. Don't wait until the second week and you're still not sure how to do it, because then you're behind. Let's be able to focus on geometry and let the algebra come, since we all learned it last year. Hopefully you guys have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow.